Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 175 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Kate. So why don't we
Holy
start like
fuck.
we normally do? Do you have any Doctor Who news?
News? Not really, no. I mean, yeah.
I
Nothing
haven't.
too
I have an
nothing too
article.
interesting.
On
You
my,
have an article, sorry. Go ahead.
I have an article on my phone that I haven't read about how somehow Stephen Moffat is trying to make the Doctor Who movies canon.
I don't know how he would when he's not in charge of the show anymore.
I don't know. I didn't read the article.
I mean, that doesn't...
I opened it to read. The headline is Stephen Moffat has found a very meta way to work Peter Cushing's Doctor Who movies into canon, but I haven't actually read what it said.
Well, it doesn't matter. He's not on the show, so it's his fan theory is as fan wanky as any. Let's see. Is there anything since last week? Not really. They unveiled the artwork for the Lady Christina box set. It looks real shitty. There's Slitheen on the cover, which again is not a selling point for me. There's some trailers out for I think the second Paul McGann Time War set. There's some more details on the Jenny box set, which I don't think anybody else cares about either. If any of our two listeners are of the writerly persuasion, they're doing a Bernice Summerfield short story collection. There's an opportunity to submit a story as part of a contest to get it in the book, and there will be an audiobook of it as well. So I guess if you want to do that, you can do that. But I don't, because I'm lazy and I'm not very good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess nothing super exciting.
Have you been watching any Doctor Who?
We watched a lot of Doctor Who because we finished CSI this week, so we no longer have like literally anything else to watch other than The Simpsons once a week.
I watch The Simpsons once a week too.
Oh, good for you, but not the new episodes, I would take it.
No, the old episodes. It's not that I'm adverse to the new episodes. I struggle to keep up with TV anymore. Unless it's something I really care about, like Twin Peaks.
I miss Twin Peaks. I was just saying about that the other day, how like it's almost a year since Twin Peaks came out. And like being able to watch Twin Peaks week to week it was a great pleasure and something I never thought I would experience.
Yeah, me either. It was really awesome.
It was incredible. I loved it so much, and I can't wait until it's back again.
If it comes back, yeah.
If it ever comes back again, I hope it does. But if not, I'm fine with that. But it was a lot of fun.
You should give Legion a try. It's real good and evokes some of the same but different enough feelings to not feel like a copycat.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
I still say even with Logan coming out last year, it's the best Marvel live action anything ever.
If honestly, you say so.
It's better than most of the cartoons too. So like adaptation of Marvel shit.
Well, we just we finished obviously the new season of X-Files wrapped up, and Jesus Christ.
It was still going?
Yeah. I mean, this is probably the last one because Gillian Anderson said she's done, but didn't stop them before. So
I need to come back, but I haven't watched any of the new season yet.
Well, I tell you, like anything to do with the standalone episodes has been pretty great. Anything to do with the mythology is a fucking train wreck. So thankfully,
throw out like half of the mythology last season.
Pretty much. This time they've been a bit more vague about it, but thankfully, as with the previous season, the only mythology episodes are really one in the beginning, one at the end, and kind of a half-season one in the middle. So we've got 2 episodes that are a train wreck and 8 pretty good ones. Actually, no, because there was one episode about like Roombas going rogue and stuff that sucked. So really, we get 7 good episodes and 3 not so good ones.
Oh, there's 10. Okay.
Yeah, there was 10 this year.
6-episode season. That's why I was surprised it was still going.
Yeah. So I mean, it wrapped up a couple of weeks ago, but I really liked it. And I mean, to me, Twin Peaks, the X-Files evokes the
perfect.
Twin Peaks is perfect, but I'm just saying, like, X-Files evokes the same feelings for me, especially because not only is it the same kind of like weirdo supernatural show, it's also like X-Files is the first grown-up show that I watched every week and was like obsessed with. So it's special to me in kind of the same way.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
He doesn't count, huh?
Sorry, what?
I suppose Doctor Who doesn't count because it's not entirely a grown-up show.
Well, I mean, but even then, yeah, no, but to be honest, I probably got into Doctor Who around the same time that I started watching X-Files, because the first Doctor Who that I saw was like classic series reruns when I was like in like 5th grade or something like that. So yeah.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the first ever Doctor Who I saw was the Sontaran Experiment, because I remember Sarah Jane in her yellow raincoat.
It might be Stargate. The Stargate count, or is that also for children?
No, it's definitely. I mean, that Stargate. The first 5 seasons of Stargate were on fucking Showtime. So like the pilot has full frontal.
Yeah, no, I know the pilot. I have the first 2 seasons on DVD somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a kid show. We did watch that growing up, but I find as an adult I don't really like it anymore. So.
Yeah, I felt no desire to ever revisit Stargate. I liked the last one was really good.
Universe?
Whatever the one where they were on the spaceship.
That's Universe.
Yeah, I really liked that one.
Yeah, I mean,
we're on a Doctor Who podcast.
We are on a Doctor Who podcast. Yes, I've been watching more new series Doctor Who.
So what have you thought? Have you finished?
Okay,
you finished the second Capaldi season yet?
No, not quite. Probably next time we watch will be the last one. So we watched. It seems like the season is mostly like 2-parters, which is great, because I mean I think you and I both are of the opinion that 2 hours is kind of like the ideal for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So a 2-part new series or a 4-part classic series is kind of the sweet spot. So yeah, we watched Before the Flood and Under the Lake, which I thought was pretty good. It's pretty classic, traditional base under siege type Doctor Who, and it was great to see in the new series. So that was fun. Let's see. There was The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lives, which is kind of a weird sort of 2-parter.
It made me happy.
It made me happy because I like that they pulled out some pretty deep cuts, like the fucking lion people from Warriors Gate. And I don't know if Ashildr reappears on the show, but I mean, depending on how her storyline on the show ends, or if she doesn't turn back at all, I think like more than a Lady Christina or a Jenny or whatever, I'd say like Ashildr is ripe for being revisited by Big Finish. I'd love it if they paired her up with like Torchwood or something. I think that would be cool.
she's a good actress too, especially for how young she is.
Yeah. So, I mean, because like the Doctor even mentions like, oh yeah, you'll probably run into Captain Jack at some point. And I'm just like, no, that's now that's an idea. You should get on that. And then let's see, the Zygon 2-parter. Inversion, Zygon Invasion, Zygon.
Is that the war one where they like go into the Situation Room?
Yes.
And everyone's like, there's a copy of everyone.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, I do like that one.
I liked it. Well, it was okay.
I like
because, well, okay, so like the first part was like this kind of like soapbox about migrant stuff, and it didn't work. And it's not so much. It's not so much about disagreeing with the politics of it, just so much as that the situation just doesn't apply. Their allegory doesn't work because the nature of the Zygon threat is so like it's the terms of their ceasefire are so bad. First of all, which is resettling 20 million Zygons and not knowing where they are, and the threat is so large and so like removed from reality, where you've got 20 million shapeshifters and you don't know who's who. Like your real world parable doesn't work anymore because it's so completely ridiculous. Like, you do need to track these people and you need to be paranoid. That's the proper thing to do because they're shapeshifters who have infiltrated your planet. Like, it no longer works. Once they kind of got past that stuff and went into the whole more of the conflict between the Zygons and UNIT and the Doctor trying to play mediator like he usually does, that stuff all worked really, really well. And like the last few minutes, like Peter Capaldi's performance in the last few minutes of like, don't press the button, just fucking talk to each other, you idiots, was great. But, it's just, I was just kind of chuckling at it where it's like, we should be nice to immigrants. It's like, yeah, well, real immigrants don't turn into crab people and kill us. Like,
yeah.
Like.
Is that where you stopped?
No, we did watch one more episode, which was Sleep No More, which is the found footage space station episode. And that was pretty boring. This is easily the weakest of the season for me so far. And we would like, I was just thinking to myself, like, we've hit a point where the Doctor is being chased around by sentient eye boogers. And like, I'm sorry, but that's That's dumb, and not only is it a dumb idea, the episode is boring as fuck on top of it. So it's like
It was like sand monsters, right?
Well, it was sand because the guy made the sleep pod, and apparently, like, it evolved the sleep goop in your eyes into these like
that wasn't
monsters, which I'm like.
So what's the next episode? Do you know?
So we've got 3 left in the season. So we've got Face the Raven, and then the Heaven Sent and Hellbent 2-parter.
Good.
So we'll see.
I like the end of the season.
We'll see what happens.
At least one of those episodes is really fucking good.
Yeah, I'll report back probably by next week, but I don't imagine that we'll be behind on Doctor Who too much longer because we've only got, I guess,
one more season and
we've got 3 episodes, 1 season, and I think 1 more Christmas special, or maybe 2. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Let's see. I've got my big book of Capaldi.
2. You have 2.
Yes, I've got the Husbands of River Song. I've got 3. Husbands of River Song, Doctor Mysterio, and then Twice Upon a Time.
Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot about Husbands of River Song, but yes, Doctor Mysterio is the one I was thinking of.
I don't know if I'll like it because of the superhero angle, but at the same time, I was like shaking my head at the idea of Santa Claus, and that turned out to be really good. So
it's not bad. It's okay. It's not fucking Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe giant tree robot.
Oh fuck that episode! What the hell? It's so fucking stupid.
But it's not bad.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. I have really enjoyed Capaldi's performance, and I mean, I think season 8 was really, really solid with a couple of exceptions. And for me, like, so far, the only annoyance in season 9 really has been Missy, because she just drives me nuts. But I haven't seen her since the premiere, so it's been great.
I'm excited for you to see the last few episodes. Anyway, you ready to talk about what we're here to talk about?
Yeah, after that, 20-minute preamble, sure.
So the first thing on our plate is a monthly range audio story, And You Will Obey Me.
Yes.
Starring the 5th Doctor and apparently Tegan and Turlough too. They're mentioned that they're just still on the TARDIS.
No, they're not in the TARDIS, but if you remember at the end of The Awakening, Tegan and Turlough wanted to hang out in the village for a bit with her family, so they're staying there. Still.
Oh, okay.
So the Doctor's in the flashback, the Doctor mentions that like he got the distress call while he was still in the town in the 80s with Tegan and Turlough, and he like took off for a bit to come investigate this without them. So that's where they are right now.
So this story opens with apparently the Master was living in a house in England
for like 30 years.
And then he died in a fire.
Yes. And all of his possessions are being sold off, and the only thing really that survived the fire was the grandfather clock that we know is his disguised TARDIS. Yes. So the Doctor is at the the estate auction to try and bid on the clock with no money, and it's attracting a lot of interest.
So when did this story come out?
2016.
Okay. The weird thing about this story is it reminded me a lot of a recent Daredevil story.
Oh, okay.
Where it turns out the Purple Man had kids.
Oh,
and the kids don't know their power, and they're controlling, forcing their will on people.
Right. Okay, I can see that connection for sure.
Yeah, because this episode is about how I think it turns out the Master has implanted himself in psychic energy amongst various people.
Well, okay, so basically what happened, I mean, and this is at first we don't know what's going on because the Doctor has come to 2016 following the distress signal from the Master's TARDIS. He's trying to bid on it. There's another woman there called Anne who is apparently a collector of weird stuff or something like that. She wants the clock as well, so they kind of join forces. And there's also these 2 teenage kids that show up who want it. And there's alien dragonfly assassins looking for the Master. There's some Russian commandos and another teenage girl. And everybody's basically trying to get their hands on the grandfather clock. And we don't really find this out until part 3 with an extended flashback. But basically what happened is that, so 30 years ago in 1984, near the same village where the Awakening took place, the Master TARDIS, it crashed, fell to earth through the roof of this barn. 4 kids who were walking home from school took the shortcut through the field and happened to kind of stumble upon the incident. And he basically kind of influenced them and molded them into being like his thralls, and he started treating them like his children in a kind of a twisted way. And so he basically used his hypnotic influence on them because his genetic profile or whatever was damaged along with his TARDIS. He was kind of stuck there. So he implanted some of his molecules into the kids, and he made them gather supplies to repair his TARDIS, which included breaking into a military base and killing a person. And yeah, so but because of that, like one of the kids, Mikey, he rejected the Master's microbes, and when the Master was trying to reconstitute himself, he shot the Master, which basically made him flee into the telepathic circuit of the TARDIS, where he is now stuck because the Annie girl, who's teamed up with the Doctor, has the key to the Master's TARDIS, but so he can't get out until like the key and the clock are reunited, basically. And the so Mikey aged normally, but the other three kids kind of stayed the age they are. And that's the teenagers that we're dealing with in the present as well. They're actually in their late 40s by this point, which kind of sucks because an alien ship crashing when you take a shortcut home. I mean, you could have been turning into animals, but instead it was the Master, and that was all she wrote. And then yeah, the alien bounty hunters. There's two races there because there's the fucking
8-foot tall dragonflies.
8-foot tall dragonflies that are there to kill him, and then the Russian goons are being commanded by a race of like fembots that are also after him, who are like they're not like amoral per se, but like they have their own sort of like moral code, and they deem like killing the Master will make them more virtuous by XYZ% or whatever. So they're not amoral so much as they are like ruthless and kind of like, I don't know, very, very single-minded. So that's kind of it, really. I mean, the Master has kind of basically brings has sort of intentionally brought the kids back together, because now that he's like awakened, their powers are manifesting again. So he kind of always comes together so he can like refuculate himself into burned form. And it turns out that the burned guy who had died in the house fire, living under the name of Masterson, was actually Mikey's brother, who had fought in the Falklands and was injured and kind of couldn't take real life anymore. He was burned in a bombardment or something. So that was the burned person that people had seen living in the cabin.
Yes.
Safeguarding the clock. Yeah, and that's kind of it, which is pretty convoluted.
It was pretty convoluted. I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part. It wasn't like
I enjoyed it for the most part as well.
It built a good atmosphere.
I agree. Yeah,
it gave it this general sense of unease.
Mm-hmm. You know, it really reminded me of, I don't know, a Stephen King kind of feel. It reminded me of like It or The Body or something like, or Stand By Me, where something odd happens to a group of kids in their youth, and it affects them the rest of their lives. Like the way that Mikey, has grown up hating himself because the Master made him kill somebody, and it's small scale for Doctor Who, but the way that it brings it home, I think, in a way, because it's like the human tragedy of like, you forced me to kill a person, and treating that seriously and as devastating as that would be. Yeah. And I think that works really well. I mean, obviously I wouldn't want Doctor Who to be that all the time, but sometimes when they dial it back and play those things a little bit more grounded, despite the presence of giant dragonflies, it really worked. And I think those aspects of sort of like an examination of just the ruinous effect that the Master had on these kids' lives all those years ago is the best part of this story to me. And everything else with the running around trying to find the clock and the bounty hunters and whatever, like it's whatever.
It's fine.
But that's the part that really, really grabs me.
And I think it was an effective use of the timeline too, to have the Fifth Doctor by himself and not with companions, because I think the story wouldn't necessarily work as well if we had another character to running around and contributing.
Yeah, I don't really know what it would accomplish, because it turns out that Annie, the person he's working with, she's like one of the fembots or whatever, right? She claims to be actually MI5, but she's
a robot.
She's a robot from outer space. And yeah, I don't really know what you'd have the companions do, because I mean, up until the reveal, she pretty much fulfills the companion role in this story, and because the Doctor's plotline in this really focuses on the relationship between himself and the Master, and the way that, like, despite everything that's happened between them, he still feels a certain obligation to find out what happened. You know, it's all kind of inside baseball for the two of them, and I feel like Tegan and Turlough don't really have a direct connection to that. So other than asking the same questions that Annie does, I don't really know that they would contribute much.
Also, was it just me, or did the museum auctioneer curator guy? He was doing like a weird Tom Baker impersonation. Like,
I have no idea. I didn't really catch that. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just you.
The cadence of his voice.
Mm. The only thing about this that kind of threw me off a bit, and I'm not sure if they really had too much of an explanation in the story, it was that the Doctor's like exhumes the Master's grave, and he's very like concerned about all this, the idea that the Master has died. But the description that he was given of the Master was of the Crispy Master. And because this is Peter Davison Doctor, he should know by now that the Crispy Master takes Nissa's dad's body. So he can't die as the Crispy Master, because he's already seen him become uncrispy.
Or maybe he gets crispy again later.
But he doesn't, though.
that you know.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it is Jeffrey Beavers, and I mean, in his wonderful Crispy Master, we like Jeffrey Beavers. He's got a great audio voice.
He does. The Fifth Doctor does mention the fact that he is seeing this out of
sequence.
Yes.
Yes.
It is the Crispy Master, because he knows the Crispy Master comes back. Like, he acknowledges that.
Yes. I mean, he does acknowledge it. He acknowledges it like late in the story, but in the first couple parts, like, he seems genuinely concerned. And he's like, I have to exhume the body. I have to be sure. And like, what could have happened here and stuff like that. So it makes it, I mean, fair, maybe that was me misreading it, but it just like, it seemed as though he was like actually worried that he had died, when he knows that could not be.
Or it could be because time gets fucked. If it's with Time Lords can fuck up time.
I suppose, but I feel like this is one of those things that would send those bats after you, you know?
Yeah.
Especially because the Master has like such a big impact on the galaxy or the universe, that, you know, having him burned out early would affect everything on up to the Time War and beyond.
So
I mean, the other thing to keep in mind about this is that this is actually the first part of a Master trilogy. And the next two parts are the Sixth Doctor and the Seventh Doctor, respectively. So there are a few questions left unanswered, such as who put the bounty on the Master's head in the first place, that aren't really resolved. But I feel like this episode, if you're listening to it chronologically in sequence with the other Fifth Doctor stories, I think it stands alone pretty well. There's threads there to pick up on for the next two, but you know, it does tell a complete tale. It's not left on a cliffhanger, really. Because I mean, the Master escapes like he always does, but I mean, that's not really any different than usual.
Yeah.
So
moving on to our next item of the week, which is our TV story, Frontios, Fifth Doctor, Tegan, Turlough story, and I want to begin this part of our show by asking you a question, Kate.
Okay.
Do you remember when Doctor Who was good?
Yes.
Me too. I miss it a lot.
I liked this episode.
You did?
Yes, very much.
I thought it was
not like, I guess very much might be a little bit much, but I think it's a good episode.
I don't.
I think it's a good episode with a few flaws that keep it from being a very good episode.
I think the ending is bad.
The ending is bad. Okay, well, I guess we'll get to that.
I found it overall pretty boring. I don't like the way they raised the stakes at the beginning either. Like anyway, so this story opens with the Doctor, Tegan and Turlough landing on this planet called Frontios, and the TARDIS crash lands.
Yeah, by the gravity of the planet.
And the TARDIS crash lands because there's a meteor storm.
Right. It's like the gravity shields on the TARDIS fail, and so it falls into the gravitational well of the planet. And then but things are fucked because like it then like seals the doors to go beyond the console room, and it's all very, very mysterious and not working, basically.
Yeah. And when they confront the people that are living on this planet, they are informed that the planet is under constant their settlement is under constant planetary bombardment from this unseen enemy.
Yes. In the backstory, the Frontios is populated by a colony ship of humans fleeing the Earth's destruction, which is like
the last human colony.
Yes, take a fucking drink if you've seen that before in Doctor Who. And anyway, yeah. So that's basically they were like flying along in this great big ship, and it was like mostly autonomous, but then like all the systems kind of failed at once and they crashed on Frontios just like the Doctor did. And so for the last like 40 odd years, they've been trying to eke out this existence when, you know, the technology is gone, the food isn't working. Frontios is a pretty barren place, so they can't really grow too many crops. And, you know, they had a quarry, but they can't because the Earth is like, there's something bad going on with the dirt on Frontios as well. So,
and they're in a weird kind of communist society.
Well, yeah, kind of. It's like the captain has essentially become head of state, and when he dies, his son gets to be the new in charge. Everything's very heavily rationed. Everything's very controlled.
Technology is bad.
Well, it's not so much technology is bad, more that technology is very scarce, and so it's kind of kept in reserve for the ruling class or extreme need, basically. You know, like there's a research room that's still operating on the ship up until a few minutes into the story, anyway. That's then ordered sealed when the captain dies, because he was leading an expedition to under the ground, and something went wrong, and it was all sealed off and kind of kept hush hush. And yeah, so naturally they assumed that the Doctor and friends are, you know, the invaders finally coming to get them. When the Doctor's just like, I'm just kind of here to like put bandages on people and shit. Can you like, can you not be in my face, please?
Yes. The beginning part of the story I found very standard Doctor Who kind of. I mean, this story almost starts like a base under siege story because they think they are under constant bombardment, and the Doctor is immediately suspected to be an outside saboteur.
Yes, as he often is. But I mean, I think they put in the seeds of doubt pretty early where the Doctor says, like, how long have you been under bombardment? And they're like, well, like 40 years. And he's like, if that's an invasion, they're taking their sweet fucking time. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, there is enough doubt. And then Tegan finds, like, when Tegan's helping out the local, I guess he's a medic, right? Range? Mr. Range, he's a medic.
Yeah. I don't know what Mr. Range did. I couldn't cipher out his motivations really either.
He's our token like nice guy in the cast, where
except he had like some weird like moments.
Well, he's an older guy. You know, he was one of the original colonists, and he's kind of he used to work in the research lab, and he's running triage. And you know, he's the one who believes the Doctor initially. But anyway, Tegan's helping him out, and she like finds this envelope called "Death's Unaccountable," which is like all this mysterious stuff. And there's rumors going around that people who are dead or injured you get like swallowed up by the ground, which as we come to notice is of course true. But the captain's son and his grumpy military guy are doing their very best to kind of keep a lid on it so as not to incite panic or disorder, because that would just never do when you're, you know, like 50 people in the dregs of society. But you know,
but then the son has a heart attack and the Doctor saves his life, which gets everyone on the same side at least.
Yeah, for about 5 minutes. But the problem is that another bombardment hits, and the son falls out of bed, and then he gets sucked down into the earth. So now he's gone, and you know, the military guy kind of has to both. Obviously, he suspects the shit out of the Doctor, and he at the same time tries to keep it quiet so that, you know, society doesn't fucking collapse and looting doesn't start, which doesn't work because society collapses and looting starts.
Yeah, and then we
which
find
is a touch that I actually really enjoyed, by the way. Which is like the commoners kind of like bursting into the wreckage of the ship and like taking away all the rations and stuff because that was off limits before.
Okay, yeah, that was a good moment, but besides like basically besides the middle act, which was pretty good, I found the rest of this story mostly just very generic Doctor Who. Like,
I don't. I think it has good ideas, and but I think the problem lies in its execution and budget, as it often does.
Bug people look dumb.
Yeah, those are awful costumes.
The only time the giant bug people look good is when when they're using their stupid probe chair thingy, and the Doctor like pulls the wire and electrocutes them, and they like glow. Like that looks not bad. Like it looks decent.
No. So yeah, basically what happens is that the Doctor, Turlo, and Norna, who's Range's daughter, they go into the tunnels and under the ground, and they find out that there's these bug people under the ground called tractators, and they are the ones that have been sucking people down into the earth to like power their digging machines with their corpses, and also like eating them or whatever. And the tractators have a beautiful plan, and stop me if you've heard this one before. They have a beautiful plan where they're going to hollow out the planet and drive it around. That's not a joke. That's their plan.
I was also very upset when I heard their plan was to drive the planet around, because I was like, no, story, you don't get to do that. The Daleks did that in a story I liked. Don't do it in this story. I think it's very mediocre.
So they've been working on like building the right tunnels for their giant alchemy circle. And they've been fucking with the gravity, so like that's what knocked the ship systems offline. The colony ship, that's what got the TARDIS to come and crash and blow up. I mean, for most of the story, for all we know, the TARDIS is destroyed. I mean, you know, because we believe that, right?
Yeah, so that was the thing at the beginning when they destroyed the TARDIS. I was like, come the fuck on. We know that's not what's going to happen. God damn it.
Well, I mean, to their credit, they did go to great lengths to convince the press that it was real. John Nathan Turner like deliberately leaked to the press that they were going to be phasing the TARDIS out of the show. So at the time, yes. I mean, I think there were probably more than a few people that said, aha, this is it. I heard about this, you know?
I didn't like it in the course of the episode.
But it also led to Turlo menacing people with a hat rack.
That was funny.
Which was great.
And it went on longer than everyone, like, than it needed to. Not out of like it got to the point where they were still doing it, and everyone was just like, okay, we know this isn't a thing, but we're still just going along with it for some reason.
Yeah, the hat rack is a deadly weapon, which they then give to them at the end as a gift. But yeah, so anyway, and Turlo has like this ancestral memory of the Tractators doing the similar thing to his planet, so he goes just absolutely apeshit. And then they kind of all yell at each other and are defeated, and that's pretty much it. No more bugs.
The Tractators are being controlled by some other force too.
No.
Okay.
No, basically what happens is they realize that the TARDIS is not destroyed, but rather it's like spatially redistributed itself. So in one of the cooler sequences in the story, they get to a section of tunnel that starts to have like the round thingies and like sections of TARDIS wall, and then the console room in it.
Where they're in the console room, and it's the console room merged with a cave. It is
which is super cool. Really cool, and because the Tractators are so desperate to be able to travel freely, basically the Doctor kind of tricks their leader, because they're a hive mind. So like once you take out the leader, the rest of them are like idiots, and they kind of just shut down. So the Doctor like tricks him into flipping a few switches on the TARDIS that he really shouldn't, and so knocks him the fuck out and drops him off on an uninhabited planet where he can cause trouble for somebody else, basically. And then the TARDIS kind of refuculates itself, and off we go. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I enjoyed it because I liked that it gave Turlo a lot to do. I liked that it dug into the backstory of his planet. I like that Mark Strickson got to have quite a loud performance and get to do things. And I like that they made his characterization of his slyness and acknowledging his selfishness and pragmatism, and not painting him as a villain, but also not forgetting that aspect either, and just having him kind of stand around. And I think the sets were phenomenal in this one. Like the colony built amongst the wreckage of the wrecked ship, and the way that there's kind of, you can see the pieces of technology that are rusting away, and you can see that, you know, the props are repurposed things that they would have stripped out of a bulkhead or something. Like I said, the set with the TARDIS rooms merged into the cave walls was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
So, you know, I think that, and there's also a bit where like Turlo and Tegan and the lady like go up on top of the ship's hull and walk around, that I thought was pretty cool. So
where they get the battery and then nail that guy with it.
Yeah, so it was great.
He wasn't even a bad guy.
No, he was in the way. So overall, yeah, no, I found this to be pretty good. I think the real failings is just the fact that the tractators don't work as well as they could, because the costumes are fucking ridiculous and their plan is stupid.
I didn't like the tractators at all. Basically, after I definitely stopped liking the story after I liked, like I said, the middle part. It was after Turlo's like freak out. It just all goes downhill.
Well,
also,
I mean,
we turn people purple to stun them now.
Well, it's their gravity beams.
Yeah,
they're holding them still, and gravity is purple. Haven't you played an RPG? Gravity is purple for some reason. It always is. If poison isn't purple, then it's gravity. But I mean, purple. yes, we've seen these doomed colonies before, but I felt like this one had kind of like a somber feel to it. Like I said, I like the way that society falls apart, and that the humans begin to turn on each other, and that there's looting, and that the way there's this kind of atmosphere that the Doctor and Mr. Range, like, they both know that this colony is not going to sustain itself, and that this is probably the last generation of people that are going to be here. And there's that feeling that of kind of, I don't know, just defeatism.
But like I said, I like the middle. I like when we were building the mystery, and I didn't like the reveal at all.
No, like I said, the tractators just don't work for me at all. The only cool thing that came with the tractators was their fucking like bone lord digging thing, which is like the original captain's rotting head strapped into the computer of the drill piloting around, which is metal as fuck. It's ridiculous, but I like it.
Looks stupid, except it would be just an incredibly stupid thing if not for what it's supposed to be, and it makes it really horrifying.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah, there are cool elements. I just don't think the story worked as a whole.
I think it did more than it didn't.
Also, I don't like Tegan's new haircut.
Tegan's new outfit with the like the spiky belt, leather miniskirt,
the leather miniskirt.
Oh man, I don't think she could be more 80s.
Yes.
Like holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
What happened? I thought we were leaning into it hard already. It's like you had to ratchet it up a few more notches.
You know it's 1984 when. But man. No, but like I said, I in this one, for me personally, I feel like the positives outweigh the negatives, and I think that there is more potential here than they actually managed to achieve. Given the awful costumes.
I would say that there's more potential than they managed to achieve. I wish I liked it as much as you did, but I just did not.
I mean, don't get me wrong, this is by no means my favorite, but I mean, I think it especially plays to my
rest of the season.
Well, yes, that is definitely the best episode of the season so far. And I will say it does play to my biases because I'm a big fan of Turlo, and so actually getting some use out of him, not in somewhere other than an audio is great. And there'll always be points for menacing people with Hat Rack. So, and then so as we end off, the TARDIS is repaired, but it's being dragged off course to parts unknown.
Yes.
Because isn't it always?
Yep. So what are we leading into for next week, Kate?
Well, nothing actually, because next week we have a pair of audios that actually take place when the Doctor and Tegan are dropping off the centipede guy on another planet. Because there's a bit at the end where the Doctor and Tegan take him off to drop him on an uninhabited planet, and Turlo is still on Frontios, still on Frontios, gifting them a hat rack. To remember him by. So these next couple of audios actually take place during that trip for the Doctor and Tegan.
Weird.
Yes. So we have on audio, we have Exilus Dawns and we have Time in Office.
And that's it.
And that's it. And we'll get back to TV next time, or time after next, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the end, Kate.
For Pete.
For good old Pete.
For old 5e.
Yes.
On TV we are, but
oh, I know. You said that there's a big old long string of audios in between the penultimate and the end of the season.
Yes, there is. So we're looking at a few more weeks yet, but yeah, we're getting close.
I know, but it's exciting. It's always exciting.
It is exciting.
It's sad, but exciting.
Yeah, and once we're finished with Peter Davison, we're actually going to take a brief pit stop for our first Big Finish spin-off show, the first season of that, before heading into Colin Baker.
Ooh, what is it?
Oh, you have to listen and find out. You haven't actually met the characters yet, so it would be kind of useless to tell you. I know, right. I know. It's called Graceless. Leave it at that.
Okay. All right. So we will be back next week with those 2 audios. What are they again, Kate?
Exilus Dawns, and you may look forward to that one because it features Iris Wildtime and also Anthony Stewart Head, who you might remember as Giles from Buffy.
And he's the Repo Man in the that bad musical.
Yes, he is. And also Time in Office, which came out last fall and is one of the most beloved audios probably of 2017. So I'm looking forward to hearing it.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's like it's a crapshoot for us because like half the time we're like, yes, that has every right to be beloved, and the other half the time we're like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Well, I think most of the half of the time we're like, what the fuck is wrong with people? It's more when it's a brand new release that the hype hasn't died down yet.
Yeah,
you know, things like the Tyrants of Logic, like from the Third Doctor box set that we talked about last week. People were losing their fucking shit over that episode, and now when I look at it on like review threads and stuff, it's gone down from a 9 to about a 7. Like, you know,
you could probably drop it down another point. It'd be okay.
Yeah. So anyway, next week those.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.